Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 14th annual business meeting. That seems weird to say it twice, right? Brought to you by the Alliance Council and Sounders FC. So, who am I? Why am I here? I am Cameron Collins, president of the Alliance Council. So I'm going to be your MC here today as we see much more important speakers than me that you'll find much more interesting. Tonight is unique because it's a chance to talk about democracy in sports, which is something really unique to our club in the United States, but also to talk about what happened in 2022 with the Sounders and what's going to happen in 2023. Tonight's format will be a little different than it's been in the past. So we're gonna have speakers come up here and talk to you, and then there's gonna be breakout rooms throughout this building, and you can choose which topic you wanna go hear about, and then we'll come back here at the end for questions. So definitely come back after the breakout rooms so you can do the Q&A portion of this. And I guess we might as well move on to who people are really here to see. So let's start out with owner of the Sounders, Adrian Hanauer.
Bringing you back. Good evening. Listening to Keith Costigan talk about the Sounders rule the region, or hearing that's forever etched in my mind. It's amazing, an amazing call. So, so happy to be here. Happy to be here with people in person for the first time in, Cameron, four years? 4 years, maybe. And this is an amazing evening for our club to celebrate democracy in sports. The brain trust of Drew Carey, or certainly something that Drew Carey wanted this club to be beholden to our fans, to making them part of the process. And tonight is maybe there's no greater representation of that tonight as we celebrate, we unravel, unfurl, hear the results of the general manager vote for this year. So again, thank you all for being here. Thank you for participating in this democracy. You're gonna have some great presentations tonight, Garth, Peter. Breakout sessions will be super interesting. I have never been more excited for a 5-year period that's coming up for our club, for our league, for our country. Starts Sunday in Doha. Obviously, we're all going to be rooting and watching the U.S. Try to get through the group. Our Jordan Morris and Christian Roldan, obviously DeAndre Yedlin, Aaron Long, who spent time here, very, very excited about the Americans. Javi Arriaga opens on Sunday versus Qatar. Nuhu, obviously. So super proud of the representation that the Sounders have at the World Cup. 36 MLS players representing the league. So again, just an amazing representation of where our league is going, and that number is going to be considerably higher in 4 years when we host the World Cup here in Seattle in 2026, for sure. Again, just a few quick notes on the league and you know where we're going. St. Louis comes into our league this next year in 2023. I believe there were 65,000 deposits for season tickets. They're going to have a beautiful stadium. They'll be an amazing addition to our league. Today, you know, the long-awaited announcement on a stadium in New York City, Queens. 20, I think they announced the size, 26,000, gigantic, I think they said $800 million project. But it's really important that our teams in those big markets are successful and having another stadium in New York is a great addition for our league. We launched a league this year, MLS Next Pro, which hopefully some of you got a chance to check out. It's the very beginning. It is, and I think in Henry Bronner's breakout session, you may hear how MLS Next Pro plays into the development of our players and how important it is. And again, that league is going to grow. We're going to add more teams, more quality. The broadcast will be better in the future. If some of you saw it this year, it could be challenging at times. But that's another important piece to our development puzzle. Leagues Cup coming up in 2023. This is a massively important tournament. Champions League spots on the line. Competition between the Mexicans and the U.S. Great rivalries. The Liga MX and the Mexican Federation are excited about this partnership, about this tournament, and it will be something that we get stuck into and go all in on as well. And finally, you know, the Apple partnership that is still being evolved and explored and developed, but this truly will be transformational for our league. It is a partnership. Apple is all in on this, and you know, information will come out over the course of time. But you know, integration into the Apple ecosystem, international distribution, so that we can generate fans, engage our fans all over the region, the country, and internationally. So those are just a few of the highlights. I don't want to take all the thunder. Peter, Garth, the breakout sessions will have a lot of great content, great information about what's going on at the club level. So again, I really just thank you all for participating, for being here, for being part of our democracy, for being part of the Sounders family. It's so important. You are the lifeblood of our club. Welcome to the very beginning of what this Longacres facility can provide. This room is obviously amazing and can just get that much better and provide opportunities for all of us to get together. So with that, I pass it back to Cameron. Thank you for your involvement and participation tonight, and to the Alliance Council.
All right, next up, we have Dwayne Nakamura from the Alliance Council, who's going to tell you whether or not Garth's speech coming up later will be his last as Sounders GM or the first of many more years to come. So, Dwayne.
Thank you, everyone. First off, welcome to the Alliance annual board meeting. First off, I'd like to introduce on your screen the Alliance Council members. Currently, we have 16 members, and this is an illustration of democracy in sports. We were elected by you, the Alliance members, and we represent you. So if you have any questions or concerns or anything that you want to know, please contact one of our members or email us at the website down there. You can visit there and contact us through there. If you're interested in joining the Alliance Council, please, again, we're elected by you and represent you. So, and you're welcome to join us. So all the details on how to join are contained on the website. I'd like to take a moment just to announce, call out and recognize Stephanie Steiner. Stephanie's been an Alliance Council member since 2013, and she'll be stepping down after this year. And so we want to thank her for her dedication and commitment. So on the next slide, you can see where some of the Alliance Council members sit. So again, if you ever need to contact us, you can try and find us in one of these sections. Next slide, please. So 2022 in review. What we did as Alliance Council, for the jerseys, we collaborate with the Sounders front office to help give input on design and any other details that they might want to discuss with us. We have periodic meetings with Sounders ownership and front office. Of course, this year we had a Sounders ballot, which contained several voting items, including, obviously, the GM vote. For this year, the total participation was a weighted 31.4%, which means each Alliance Council member holds that many votes for the same amount of tickets they own. However, the club's bylaws say that 40% is necessary for a quorum, so we didn't quite meet that for the final tally to be valid. So we'll get to the GM vote in a moment. If you have ideas about what you want to vote on, please, again, contact us as the Alliance Council, and we'll see if we can get them onto the ballot next year. So the next big slide is whether or not we like Garth or not. So next slide, please. And we had a 90% vote of confidence for Garth. So congratulations, Garth. You're good for another term. It's immortality, right? That's right. So next slide, please. Something that we got to vote on this year for the first time is the Humanitarians of the Year. Of course, this was announced earlier, but Stefan Fry represents the Sounders first team. Randy Mendoza represents the Defiance, and Sean Braun represents the Academy. Next slide, please. So something that we voted on was the Fan-Funded Field Initiative. This is part of the Ray Foundation 26 Fields by 2026. And the winning name was Full 90 Field. And we're currently still fundraising for that. Right now we're at $37,000 towards our $50,000 goal. So a couple fundraising opportunities will be taking place next week. Flat Stick Pub at all the locations will be hosting World Cup watch parties. And each dollar for every beer sold will go towards the fan-funded field. And this Ray Foundation will also be hosting a World Cup auction, and that will be from November 21 to 29. And it's a World Cup themed auction, so there'll be stuff with Jordan Morris, Christian Rodon, Nuhu, Arriaga, etc. Oh, one other thing. The auction items will be displayed. If you want to see what they are, they'll be displayed at the Sounders watch party at the Armory on November 25th, which is the England game. Next slide, please. Yeah, there. So if you want to donate, there's still time, and we'd love to have you donate. There's 3 methods of donating. There's the PayPal, there's directly through the website, and the Venmo through the Ray Foundation. So we'd appreciate it. Next slide, please. So another thing you got to vote on was the scarf vote. And unfortunately, I can't reveal the results tonight. You'll have to wait until you get your season tickets next year. But the way the process works is that the Alliance Council worked with the Sounders to pick a designer. And once the designers were chosen, we had 3 designers, and once they were chosen, we got to evaluate their designs, and we picked the winning artists. And then out of the winning artists, they designed about 7 to 10 different designs, and we narrowed it down to 3, and that's what you voted on. And again, the winner will be revealed in your box coming. Next slide, please. Another thing you voted on was the Constitution. So there were some changes, and it was ratified by 96%. There were some minor grammatical and formatting changes, and then also we updated the window for the GM vote to allow more cooperation with the Sounders in the voting process. Next slide, please. Some future projects we're working on. So obviously you'll hear more about this from Taylor, the March to the 50th in 2024. It's a huge project. We'll be working on with the Sounders front office the 2024 and 2025 jerseys. We'll be working in collaboration with the Sounders on some design details of this facility here, the Sounders FC Center at Longacres, and you'll hear more about that from Tom Riley if you go to his breakout session. The Sounders Hall of Fame is a project that we want to do in conjunction with the 50th. And of course, the FIFA World Cup is coming 2026. So, thank you all for coming, and enjoy the show.
Everybody, give it up one more time for Dwayne. He's really the unsung hero of Alliance Council. He does so much. Real quick, I wanted to mention one more thing about the Q&A at the end. If you're here in person, there are cards available around where you can write down your questions, and we will have some people doing triage and getting those up here. If you are watching online, you can go to hashtag SFCBiz, B-I-Z, and enter questions that way online. Coming up next, we have a speaker for you that needs no introduction, but I will anyways. We have Garth Lagerwey, the president of soccer and general manager of Seattle Sounders FC.
Thank you, sir. How's everybody doing? Dude, let's take a minute. Like, can you look up, like, without getting vertigo? And just, like, the lights are pretty cool. If you guys could take the tour, there's this big skylight up there at the top, too. So, like, just don't lay on it and look down all at once, but it's a really cool facility. It's a cool building. Thank you all for having me. Thank you for re-electing me. 4 more years, right? It is an honor and a privilege to be the general manager of the Seattle Sounders, and it's a credit to all of you. You know, many of you who I've gotten to know over the years, even the ones that I haven't. It's a really special place, and to know that you are connected to the community as an organization, and specifically in my role, that you are a steward of the club. It is a profoundly humbling moment to get the results of that vote. And yeah, you know, I think I felt like I was hoping it was going to turn out okay, but you know, to see 90% got an A in the test, you know, that feels pretty good. So thank you all that. And look, it is, I think, also a moment for reflection, to look back on the last couple of years and the run that we've had, and because it has been really, really special. When you think 2016, you know, we signed Ladero in mid-season and change coaches and win MLS Cup for the first time. No shots on goal, penalty shootout, Roman Torres, Stefan Fry. You know, Adrian referenced the Costigan's call for Champions League, but I mean, what a save by Fry. I mean, who doesn't remember that one? And then to go back there in 2017 and make the final again, and then just keep rolling through it. I mean, these big moments. 2019, you know, still a really special moment. How many of you all were here for the final in 2019? All right. Now, look, I mean, and you know, our little motto is create moments, enrich lives, unify through soccer. I don't know any better description of that than playing finals with 70,000 people in the entire city going bonkers behind you, and the tension in that game where, Toronto was better than us for the first half, and then, we break through with a deflected goal from Leardom, and then eventually win it through Victor Rodriguez and Raul. And, standing up here, I can still replay those goals in my mind as they're happening, and just, again, what a cool community this is, that we've had all these events that we can share in our collective consciousness. And then keep going. 2020, it's a bummer of a year for the world, but we're back in MLS Cup again. It still will go down as I maintain the worst birthday in history, because my birthday is December 12th. That game is on December 12th. That was a hard one to wash off. The less said about that, the better. But then 21, we're right back there with the Leagues Cup final. Adrian touched on the Leagues Cup. This is a tournament that we couldn't possibly be more excited about. We have been competing against Mexican teams since day one. I think that the Sounders have as many or more Champions League appearances than any other MLS team. We took that first Leagues Cup tournament very seriously, and we are very excited about this being the future of our sport, competing against Mexican teams. And obviously the best example of that being what happened this year, 2022, winning Champions League. How was that? How I maintain still the coolest moment of my life. If you guys can just whip your phones out for a second, turn your flashlights on. Can we recreate that little moment? There we go. Look at this. So after the second goal, for those who weren't in the building, if you remember, everybody took their flashlights out, and there was like a 5 to 10 minute period where the whole stadium in unison was kind of rocking and swaying. It was like a spiritual experience. And then Jordan Morris hit the shot, the save, the Daryl rebound goal, and then that's when the earthquake monitor went off, and you thought the building was going to collapse. So thank you for playing along with me, humoring me there. I appreciate that. But I just, again, when you talk about this being a special place, I just don't think there are that many communities that would have done that together, that would have instinctively somehow said, this is kind of like a concert. This is kind of like a collective memory almost, that this is special, that we are in this together, and to have been part of that. It's what makes this job unique and really, really fun and really, really worth doing. So from that Champions League high, that moment, we look ahead then to the Club World Cup potentially. And we still don't have any information on the Club World Cup. So I'm going to go into a big update, but as you can see, there's just kind of a blank space on my iPhone there. Look, they tell us it's going to happen in February, supposedly. They're just not sure where. And we said, well, what should we book? We got to plan a preseason, and that starts on January 4th, and that's really not that far away. And they're like, well, we'll get back to you. And they had a meeting. Everybody went to New Zealand, and they had a meeting together, and they said, we're going to tell you after the meeting. And they didn't decide. So I guess there's this World Cup thing coming up. So that's taken precedence, and they do have a lot of resources and energy invested in that. So we will certainly tell you when we know about the Club World Cup, and we hope there'll be opportunities even for fans to come. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll wind up hosting the thing. But right now, we just don't have any information. So we will continue to move forward on that front as we're able. But it does lead us into the next topic, which is the World Cup coming up. On Monday, the U.S. goes and plays Wales, and then eventually England and Iran. And I just want to say how excited we are from a team perspective. I mean, we had 4 players. Adrian mentioned them. But that's the third highest total in MLS. We have 10%, 11% of all the MLS players. They play for the Sounders. So again, when you just pressure check, the health of an organization, you want to check relative to your peers. But who are the guys that play in the World Cup? They're prime age players, right? Because I think one of the issues we had in our season was we were very prime. We had a whole bunch of really good players that won us Champions League, and we got a little tired as we went on. But to have 4 prime age players playing for their teams in the World Cup, that's a really good sign that we have a healthy group going forward. And I would be remiss if I didn't say this. If you guys haven't seen the videos put out by U.S. Soccer of Christian and Jordan talking to their parents, for those of us who are parents, wow, it's it'll choke you up, man. It was really, really meaningful, those guys, and it was awesome to watch, and just, if my kids grow up and turn out like Christian and Jordan, I'm going to be a very proud father. So they're really special kids, and just couldn't possibly be happier for them, and really proud of them, and really proud of Nuhu and Javi, and again, it's a special place to be a part of. So. So for next year, we are moving right along. We have 25 guys under contract already. We are really looking forward. We're excited about what's to come. And today was the first day of free agency. No, we didn't sign anybody. Re-entry drafts tomorrow. Don't get your hopes up too high for that. But then we have a second re-entry draft next week, and a college draft actually coming up December 21st. So, and unfortunately, we have a relatively high pick because of how our season finished in a little bit of a disappointing fashion. But I think it's might be the first time since the inaugural year that the Sounders have had a pick in the top 10. So we're going to have to do our best with that, and hopefully uncover the next Christian Roldan. That's setting the bar pretty high. But if we can get any half of that, we'd be really, really happy. So we're excited about that. We're excited about building our team, and we're excited about next year. And look, camp is right around the corner. January 4, we open, if you guys can believe that. And so this long off season that we've had, we're right back at it. And guys like Obed Vargas, JP, they're still out there training. They're trying to come back from their injuries. They're trying to get ready for the Club World Cup, assuming it happens in February. So when you think of when you lift your turkey bone at Thanksgiving, just think of those guys out there running and really getting after it. They're making really good progress, both of them. Andrew Thomas is a little further behind in terms of these guys with long-term injuries, but we're very, very excited overall for their progress, and we have every belief that they're going to come back in very good form. So that kind of takes us to this place, and I kind of said at the beginning, look around. This is Longacres. The fields are going to kind of be out here for those who haven't seen that, and obviously we got some work to do in terms of that, and the facility is going to more or less be back through that space. The first floor will be the team space, will be the team facility, and then the business offices, the suits like me, will be upstairs on the second floor. But the important stuff will get done down here, and to have a state-of-the-art weight room, to have potentially things like an altitude room, a cryo chamber. That sounds cool, right? We don't actually freeze people alive. It's not like Han Solo. They just go in there and they recover, and then they get to play soccer again more quickly. Steam sauna, like just imagine the nicest, gym you've ever been in, and then with some extra bells and whistles for pro soccer players. And it's really, really exciting to think about what this facility means to us. And not just in terms of the day-to-day. Obviously, the fields will be nice, literally being able to walk out of a locker room onto a field. Like just your office is right outside your front door. That's really cool. But it allows us to do so many more things for our athletes. So from a nutrition perspective, we can literally control every meal that they have, right? We're going to have a food preparation staff that works for us, so we can get individual meals for every meal to every player. We can meet specific metabolic needs for every guy, really specialize it, right? And we've then have a world where we're able to specialize what they eat, how they train in terms of their physical outputs, eat individually, what do they do in the gym, and everybody has their individual plan. It becomes increasingly specialized, and that makes us just that little bit better. We're excited. We're going to have space here where we can expand our sports psychology capability. I think for a long time, in many walks of life, we kind of looked at mental health as crisis management. When something bad happened, then we jumped on it, we tried to make it better. But we're now, I think, all collectively discovering that being a little proactive about stuff like that can really, really benefit, and in particular, younger kids, as they struggle to adapt. We have learned so much about our young kids and how they progress into the first team. How important friends are. You don't really think about that. You're like, well, I'm going to sign this guy because he's talented, and we're going to feed him the right way and train him the right way and do all that. But it turns out a 16-year-old in a room full of 28-year-olds, he's not going to fit in. Like he probably shouldn't. There's probably something something's gone wrong if he's like, I want to hang out with them. So, but it creates these interesting locker room dynamics. And so, long story short, I think it's really exciting, some of the stuff we can do from a sports psychology perspective. And we are able to add, again, as we move into this new facility, potentially roles that support our players and really help them with their welfare off the field as well as on the field. And now it's becoming, already this year for the first time we monitored their sleep. So just in case you thought we weren't intrusive and invasive enough, all we control now is what they drink, what they eat, how they sleep, what they do for at least 2/3 of their day, when they travel, who they travel with. And anyway, it becomes, we're doing the best we can. How about that? But having this facility has wonderful knock-on effects too. So as you can imagine, from a player recruitment perspective, certainly we're excited about things like the Apple deal, because that's going to put us all over the world, and I think is going to lead to some hopefully interesting phone calls incoming, saying, hey, that looks pretty cool. When those fans get together and they put 70,000 in for a Champions League final and 40,000 for a normal MLS game, that looks pretty good. So I think that's going to really help us with that. And again, just look around this place, the scarf wall, the trophy case, every Sounders uniform. Like, this is going to be home. This is going to be Sounders Wonderland. And again, thanks to all of you, because in a community like this, again, it is you guys committing to the team, committing to spending your hard-earned money on the players, and we have wonderful owners, and they've committed to taking those resources and reinvesting them in the team and reinvesting them in a facility like this, which is a phenomenal expense. I mean, let's bear that in mind. But it's an investment in all of you and in the club and in the long term. Adrian talked about 5 years. This is for the next 20 or 30 years. And that's an incredible commitment that our owners have been willing to make to try to take our franchise to the next level. So hopefully we can, we went through that run 2016 to 2022. A lot of high points in there. In sports, things tend to cycle up and down, and maybe it doesn't go forever. But a place like this is maybe not forever, but it's for a mighty long time, and it's really cool to have an asset like this at our disposal to really make us better as an organization. And one of the other cool things about it is when we host the World Cup in 2026, and again, how about we give ourselves a round of applause for that, huh? Seattle? What a cool time to live here, right? I mean, with this coming and the waterfront's going to be done, and who knows, maybe they'll be done building bridges by then too. Probably never, I think. But my kids asked me when the light rail was going to be done the other day, and I was like, well, when you're done with high school, something like that. But one of the cool things about the World Cup, and I hope you guys all get to do this, is to go home and pull out a map and teach your kid about the world and be like, all right, where are we playing? And who's playing who and where is that? And what's Wales? And no, it's not just a fish mammal. I think this is such a fun time for us now, where the season has ended, but you have this next month, which is it's just full of soccer, and it's so exciting. And when you put it in the context of 2026, and you're hosting here. What a privilege, and to think that we're going to host, we had Argentina that we hosted back in Copa America Centenario a couple of years ago. We obviously don't know if we're going to get a team of that profile here, but probably they're going to be at Longacres, and this is something that's set up to handle that, to support that, and just again, the future is just so bright. The next 5 years are so exciting in terms of what we can do. And look, that takes me to my last point tonight, which is I do want to talk a little bit about player development. For those of you who are interested in more detail, you can go with Henry Bronner. He's as good as it comes in terms of developing not just players, but people. But we have had, the first team gets all the press, right? That's where who goes to the games. But one of the great cultural successes of our club has been how much buy-in we've gotten into our academy. I mean, the people that watch the streams and they play, and again, we've won the national championship in 17, then we won the GA Cup in 19, then we came back and defended our title this year. And it's amazing to me that we have folks that are watching these games and are so invested in these kids And look, I will tease that it's not going to be this week or next month, but there will be a kid off that GA Cup team that's going to be joining us. So that's, again, an exciting thing, and you guys can really see the stars of tomorrow on those academy teams playing, investing. And like, this building is the single coolest thing that could happen to them, because, you know, when we launched the Sounders, I mean, this predates me, we launched the soccer team. It was the Sounders, right? And it was an unbelievable team, and they made the playoffs every year, and that was great. And when I came in, we started the transformation to become a soccer club. You know, launched what was then S2. Really, the academy had no full-time people when I started, and we've been able to build out that into one of the best staffs in America. And, you know, we've won titles and signed players. And, you know, look, I don't want to single anybody out up here, but, you know, we have half a dozen kids now that could make an impact in the first team next year. And even potentially, you know, now we're getting into the phase where they can start games. They can be really serious contributors. And that's really, really exciting for us. You know, when you talk about what are we doing for next year? How are you preparing? And you're like, well, the preparation's here. We've been doing it for 5 years. And these kids are ready. And when you have a facility like this, now those kids have a weight room. That's their weight room. And those kids have a film room. That's their film room. And they have a smart board in their locker room. And no, you know, you soccer teams don't have smart boards in their locker rooms. And we're going to be able to draw up plays and work on set pieces and do video while they're getting changed together. And this, you know, again, helps us feed them, you know, just educate them as professionals. So the opportunity here, the potential of this facility from a player development is really incredible. And the last thing that before I step down is MLS NP, MLS Next Pro. It's still a mouthful, right? We got to find maybe a more elegant name for that. But Tacoma Defiance, because I like that name. Tacoma Defiance, another excellent season under Wade Weber's leadership. Reached the Western Conference Final. And again, continues to. We had a kid in the best 11 for the league, and next year that league gets even better because the LAFC joins and the LA Galaxy join, and those are two really good development systems, and it's going to raise the level of competition that much more. So, for those of you who want to come out and watch those kids that we play at Starfire, that'll continue at least in the short term, and you know, that's something again where these are kids. You know, we had, I think, a dozen kids from the first team, not even all kids, because Jimmy Madranda played a game or two, come down and play for this team. So it really is a melting pot of guys coming from the first team to get sharp, coming off injury, get prepared, and the kids coming up from the academy, and you know, being able to see, hey, here's what's coming next. So, in conclusion, I couldn't possibly be more excited about what's to come for the Sounders. I think we've laid a pretty good foundation. We got a pretty good run. And I just want to say thank you to all of you again for your support of me personally. My wife says thank you in particular. You know, so it's really gratifying to have that support and, you know, to be able to build on that year over year and to have the stability, because when you have the stability, that allows you then to make long-term decisions. It allows you to make big investments like this facility. And when you do things like that, then you're gonna have, hopefully, the ability to sustain your success over time. So thanks so much for listening tonight. Thanks for supporting the Sounders.
Thank you, Garth. Coming up next, we have somebody who, well, Garth is in charge of signing DPs for the soccer side of things. And this is someone that Adrian brought in, who's really the DP of the business side of things. And it's Sounders FC owner and president of business operations. I gotta make sure to get that right. Peter Tomazawa.
Use this mic. Before you go, Cameron, I want you guys to notice the shoes. For only $200, we still have a few left in the pro shop. You got to get them while they're hot. But aren't they beautiful? They're actually pretty cool, I think. Thank you, Cameron. You know, look, this is a real honor to be here. I'm really thrilled to see so many people out here. I mean, my first annual business meeting was 4 years ago. And I remember we did it in Adrian's office. And, oh, no, sorry. No, we did it in the 90. And it was sort of like a smallish kind of room, and it wasn't a big deal. This is like professional. This is kind of crazy. And then the following year it was COVID, and we did it streaming for the first time, you know. And we were such rookies at this. I mean, now Zoom is so natural, right? You know what to, you know, now you put on a suit, a coat, and you wear pajamas underneath, right? But that year we were like eviscerated by social media because, you know, it was like a long meeting. We were talking for an hour. We started doing this, and then you guys were screen capturing, and they're like, this is like torture kind of thing. So hopefully it won't be like this going forward. You know, I was listening to Dwayne and listening to Cameron, and the Alliance Council is really an important part of the Sounder family fabric. And I'm so glad that you guys are all out here, because it's really going to be something like, if you guys really want to be really more part of our family, join the Alliance Council. There's monthly meetings. I'm so amazed at these people all the time, because I go to a few of them, and you know, they don't invite me to all of them, because otherwise, you know, I think they would go out of their minds. But you know, we go to these meetings and we listen for ideas, and some are really good, some are really bad, but some are really, really good ideas that we get from our fans. And you know, when we made the decision to close the upper deck, for example, Dwayne Nakamura, I know, but Dwayne Nakamura actually sat up in the 300 section, and he helped guide us to figure out how to do it in a better way, right? We've heard ticketing ideas, we've heard ideas on entertainment, what to do during the games. I love Garth is trying to promote the flashlight on the 70th minute. I personally would love to be that, to be organic. Hint, hint, do it. It is freaking awesome, you know. It is really, when we were watching it out there, and once we saw all those cameras waving, it was like a moment, right? And we just sort of like, so I asked our marketing team, how do we get the fans to do this? And like, you know, so I'm actually begging, you know, to get that to happen. So, and I love the fan-funded field idea. It just occurred to me, you know, is this right? You're going to donate some money because people drink beer? All right, well, I'm going to do something right now. It just came to my mind. And Adrian, you and I, we're going to commit $1 for each beer drunk. And we will match that donation for the fan-funded field. All right? And I know our fans can drink a crap ton of beer, because I see the reports every time. And I would really appreciate if you drank the beer at our games, because, you know, that puts our per cap higher. Anyway, Cameron, thank you for everything that you do. It's always tough to follow Adrian and Garth when you speak, and that's kind of my fault, because I was scheduled to speak before Garth, but I thought, I mean, it's stunning that we won Champions League, but Garth is the best executive globally. He flew to Spain to pick up the award, or at least he said he did. He was gone for like a week. He says, I'm picking up this award, and we saw nothing. Garth, I still want to see this trophy. What did they give you for a week? I don't know what you did out there, but anyways, thank you. Congratulations for doing that. It was very well deserved. I do remember thinking, geez, you know, when he first got on board, he came and spoke to us, remember? And he said, you know, someday this club will win the Champions League. And we all thought, this man is effing crazy. What are you talking about, right? But it was really a dream. It was really kind of a challenge he laid down to the organization, and credit to him that he saw a dream come true. And as we've been talking about his prediction that he had in 2016, in the final analysis, when all is said and done, when we look back 10 years from now, I'll be dead, but you guys will still be here. You know, in the final analysis, 2022 will be remembered the year that the Seattle Sounders won Champions League. That is just freaking awesome. And it was just something so cool. It's the first American team ever to do so. And while, you know, a lot of people talk about the tale of two seasons, you know, sort of like we had Champions League. And I'll give you a little insight as to how this whole thing evolved. But we had Champions League, and of course, this was the first year that we didn't make playoffs. right? Boo, sorry. But, you know, it was really a tale of two seasons, but on the pitch, but on the business side of things, you know, we literally hit the ball out of the park. You know, the Champions League matches gave us 4 extra home games, which is actually more than what we would have, well, exactly the same number of home games we would have if we won the MLS Cup. The economics were slightly better because we don't have to share revenue with the league. Sorry, Adrian, I'm supposed to say that because that probably gets tweeted out, and then Don Garber gets a call and, you know, talks to Adrian and says, what the hell's wrong with Peter? But that allowed us to really outperform the whole year. And I'll get into that a little bit in more detail on that. But, you know, as with all things in life, when you start looking at the future, it's always worthwhile to sort of sit back, examine where you came from, evaluate where you are, and try to look for and try to figure out where that takes you in the future. And that's what I'm going to try to do here, and hopefully it'll be somewhat interesting. It is worth mentioning the one thing that I find completely fascinating about the Seattle Sounders is the whole concept of democracy in sports. It is really unique. We are the only team that has an annual business meeting. We're the only team. We're certainly the only team that allows fans to vote for our general manager, you know. I question the vote, okay? It's 90%, that sounds a little ridiculously high. Garth, I think Garth was promising things to people, I believe. But, and, you know, it is so unique, and it is really one of the reasons why I personally invested in the company. It is fascinating that this is the thing that we talked about. I talked to some folks. Adrian and I were at the MLS Board of Governors meeting this week. It was yesterday, or Tuesday. What day? Yeah, Tuesday. It was on Tuesday, and I was talking to some folks about I have to give a presentation at the annual business meeting, and they're like, wow, that is so cool that you guys do that. I would never do it, but that is so cool that you guys do that. And we actually enjoy it. But I do remember it's so much better to be here in the building in front of live people. You know, the last 2 years we've been doing it in front of Zoom, and it really was like so impersonal. It was so cold, right? I mean, but we did better than the time that we live streamed it the first time. So we were actually getting better at it. And I was driving over here tonight, and I'm like, why is there so much traffic on the 405? I thought people were working from home, but clearly they're not, because they're on the highways. And I'm like, well, maybe it's all over, but you know, we'll see. I hope so. And it does have a lot to do with everything that we have. Anyways, you know, Garth mentioned our mission statement. That's also unique to Sounders. We actually have a mission statement in our club. He mentioned the words, did you guys hear that? The create moments, enrich lives, unify through soccer. That is our mission statement. That is why we're here. We actually look at that lens on all the decisions that we make. You know, what are we doing to create moments? What do we do to enrich lives? And what do we do to unify through soccer? And if the things that we decide don't tick those boxes, we don't do them. And it's a guiding principle. And that's really unique in sports, because most people think sports teams are about winning and losing. We talk a lot about championships, but yeah, because we win a lot of championships. But the reality is that's what's our guiding principle of all the things that we do. You know, my first season, as I mentioned, was 2019. We won the MLS Cup. And I said, this is normal. We should go and win every year, right? And then in 2020, you know, it was a weird year because of COVID, obviously. But we had a great performance on the field. We were runner-up to Columbus. And we were really close to winning 2 championships in a row. But that year was a devastatingly bad year on the business side, right? We had to cut 40% of our workforce. We had no fans in stands. We were basically a TV-only product, and it was really, really rough. It was mentally exhausting. And credit to our team, because they were able to soldier through. what was really a difficult year. It was just horrific. 2021, you know, we came back a little bit on the business side. We finally were able to start having fans in stands towards the end of the year. Remember that? You know, and then of course we get bounced out of the playoffs by a team that didn't even try to shoot on us. You know, can you imagine some team not trying to shoot and still winning? So I guess it was all things come back in full circle, but you know. And then 2022, we had this kind of tale of two seasons. But at the end of the day, we did fulfill the Garth Lagersafe prophecy, which is what I call it. Did we want to end the year the way we did? Of course not. And I want to go into a little bit of a story about 2022. And the way we thought about it and the way we're sort of thinking through Champions League. And, you know, we had qualified for Champions League despite getting knocked out of the playoffs early in 2021. And we did pretty well the first round. And, you know, Garth, Brian, they started charting a pathway that looked like, hey, we might do really well in this Champions League, right? You know, and we're like, gosh, wouldn't that be great if we could be the first American team ever to do that? And we were thinking about this sort of like, you know, okay, then of course it goes to like, can we get people to come watch this? You know, could we possibly dream to get people to come watch a Champions League kind of thing? Is this even worth it? And we're like, you know what? We need to go for it. This is the year. I remember the team side guys, they're all in, right? And so then we gave our business people this challenge. We need to sell the crap out of this Champions League, right? Our fans don't really understand it at that time. That was the truth. Because no American team has ever won, so why even bother, right? And I gotta tell you, you know, our marketing team, led by Taylor Graham, our CRO and CMO, they went out and they came up with this campaign. I remember so clearly. They went out and came up with this campaign, and Adrian, myself, and others were sitting in the room, Garth, and they were like, we're gonna do big effing deal. I'm like, no effing way, you know, no way. Like, I go, well, you know, of course I have concerns about the word effing. Of course, Adrian had no concerns about that word. But he was concerned because he's like, if you have to tell people it's a big effing deal, then it ain't a big effing deal, right? And he's like, and I'm like, that's a great point. And then Taylor, to his credit and his team's credit, they came back and they said, that's exactly the point. We need to tell people it's a big effing deal. And so we said, hey, well, who's going to be the pitch person for this thing? You know, or who are the potential pitch people? And they're like, we think we can get Marshawn Lynch. We're like, holy shit, this is approved. And they went out and got Marshawn Lynch. And it was incredible, right? And by the time and our team, you know, the way to win the Champions League is you got to play your best players. And so we were sort of sacrificing a lot of the MLS season for that at that time. So we call it rotating players, right? So we were rotating out our best team to play the Champions League. We had to give them rest, right? So we found ourselves losing or tying a lot of games that probably shouldn't have been losing or tying. Anyways, we're pushed basically in sort of poker parlance, we pushed all our chips in on Champions League. And by the time we got to the final, right, we had sold 51,000 tickets on Big Effin' Deal. I went down to Mexico City. I was the only Sounder representative there from the front office. And I remember, it's a small side story. I remember my wife and I, we got a car and we drove into the players' parking lot, you know, in the stadium there, and these big burly Mexican guys come surround our car. And one guy opens the door and he says, "Don't worry, where are your bodyguards?" I'm like, "Whoa, okay. I'm not an important person, so I've never really experienced, you know, the need for a bodyguard before." And then they're like, "Don't worry, we're armed." And my wife goes, "I'm not getting out of the car." No way.
And then they take us in another car and drive us to our seats, and they closed off all the section to get into the area, and which of course made everybody in Mexico angry at us, you know, like because we had inconvenienced. Anyways, we tied. I remember so distinctly. We tied, right, in extra time. Fans were pissed. They were so angry, and the security guards come on around, surround us, and go, "We're going to be here a while." And so we were there for like over an hour and a half, just waiting to get out of there. At any rate, one of the fun things about being in the front office is you get to see some of the technology at work. And our system, as people are buying tickets, they're like little blue dots on that represent open seats. They start disappearing off the screen. You know, Adrian and I we're talking about like how addicted we got to like, ba-doop, 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 ba-doop. And they start disappearing. Like, holy shit, we're selling tickets. Yeah, this is great. And then part of my job is to keep CONCACAF, the organizers of the Champions League, informed, right, of our progress in ticket sales. So by Friday, you know, these little blue dots are disappearing, and I'm like, I call Felipe, and I go, "Felipe, great news. We are definitely going to break your record." 61,000 was the record for the final, right? We're at 61,000 on Friday. Blue dots disappearing over the weekend. We get up Monday morning, and at the end of the day on Monday, I call Felipe. "Felipe, we're going to break your all-time record. In fact, we may come close to our all-time record." And they're like, "No way, no way." And like, "Yes, we're going to break the record." That was 66,000. And we ended up with 68,741, thanks to all of you. So you should give yourself a hand for that. And you're going to do that, right? You're going to start it. Can we agree the 74th minute? 1974? I'm just saying. Look at, you know, the game behind the game. So the Champions League represented an opportunity for us. Adrian and myself, we're on the World Cup committee, chaired by our Maya Mendoza, and Beth Knox, who's the Seattle Sports Commission CEO. We knew that the FIFA folks were going to be coming to this match, the Champions League final. This is probably not a story you guys, if I've already told you the story, then you can say, "Peter, stop." But it's pretty interesting. Peter, stop. That's the boss. So thanks for listening. Good night. No. So we get to the final, and we know we're having the FIFA audience there. So we turn this into a huge opportunity for Seattle. So and of course we control where everybody sits. So we gave the FIFA folks a suite. Then we got the Puyallup tribe of Indians, the entire council. You know, they're Emerald Queen Casino owners. They're really close with us. And so I asked a favor of them. "Could you please send all your people, your whole council and tribal chief to a suite? We can put you in a suite and put them in right next door to the FIFA folks." The suite next door to that, you know, Maya and the team got really busy, got all the government officials, you know, the mayor and all those people came, really important people from the government. We put them in that suite. Then we went to the FIFA folks and said, "Hey, could you do us a favor? Could you go visit these really important guests of ours?" Right? And then, so we had, you know, we were going to both sides saying, "Can you do us a favor, visit each other?" Anyways, that moment that we created for all of you was actually a moment we created for all of Seattle. Because I am convinced to this day that actual moment, that connection that we made with those FIFA folks, the cities all say they can host major events, sell out stadiums, and do soccer, right? We could actually prove it, because they can only say it, right? And I'm convinced that match was the tipping point that got Seattle the World Cup in 2026. And so there's so many great things that happen, and we talk about it on the field, but this is a massive legacy that's going to be left for the city. One of the things we talked about was some of the young talent that we had. You know, after winning Champions League, we sustained a few injuries, JP being the biggest one of all those. And, you know, the positive of that was we got to see some of our young talent play. They really developed over the year, really gives us a lot of hope for next year. So that's really positive. You can talk to Henry about that. But one of my favorite highlights on the field of that year was Nuhu Tolo's goal. How freaking awesome was that? But what you guys don't know is I usually host people in my suite for matches. And before every match, I always say, this is the night that Nuhu Tolo is going to score. Right? And I'm never wrong, I'm never right. But that night, all the people in my suite were like, you're a soccer savant and genius. Oh my God, you called it, Peter. You called it. They don't know that I tell them every crew that comes through that thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm a genius, yeah. But you know, the real genius is obviously Garth and Brian Spencer. We did talk about how we outperformed our goals. You know, and this training center, and I know we've talked a lot about it, but this training center is really for not just the team, not the business side, but for all of you. And we are intending to allow this as a place for our season ticket members, our fans, and our corporate partners to come visit. We're gonna build a deck off the top of this thing, off the second floor. You'll be able to come visit us, watch the players train. You gotta be nice to us, but we'll let you come and do that. It is an amazing place. It's 158 acres. It's 1 million square feet of office space. It's spectacular, as you can see, and I hope you get a good chance to view everything. I'm gonna talk a little bit about what we have coming up. One thing that is definitely true, that is a factoid, is prior to CONCACAF, if we have over 60,000 fans in the building, we have never lost. 8 wins, 0 losses, 1 tie. Now we're 9 wins, 0 losses, 1 tie. So what's the lesson in that? We need 60,000 people to come every game, right? So like, let's get people, let's get your neighbors to come to watch us play. I talked about the FIFA thing. So let's talk about next year, because they're gonna give me the hook in a few minutes. World Cup, we're hosting 4 watch parties at the Armory, Seattle Center. All 3 US games and the final. Please come to that, that'll be a lot of fun. I was at the roster reveal in New York City. Maya and I were there as Seattle representatives for the World Cup. She and I are also going to Qatar, December 3rd to the 8th. So we'll be giving reports from there. But you know, the World Cup is really exciting. As Garth mentioned, as he already mentioned, we don't know when the Club World Cup is going to be. But they said to mark out February 1st to February 12th. That's about as much instruction as we've gotten so far. Next year, I'm going to announce that we're going to have a new community kit. That's not new information. But this new community kit that's replacing our Jimi Hendrix jersey that you have on there is going to be incredible. It's going to be awesome. I'm not going to tell you what it's going to be, but it's going to be awesome. And you guys should want to, we're going to make sure those people who are interested in get the information about when this thing goes on sale, because they're going to be gone. We broke all records with Jimi Hendrix, and our Adidas people, so this is not me just bragging about it, believe that we're going to crush Jimi Hendrix with this New Jersey kit. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. We're bringing back the doubleheader. I think people are going to be really happy about that. Again, credit to our senior staff team that worked it out with the OL Reign, but we loved hosting that doubleheader. We broke the record for the single regular season match. 27,000 fans got to see an NWSL match with the OL Reign. We're planning to do it either right before, it depends on how the schedules are going to work out, but either right before the Women's World Cup or right after. So it'll be either a send-off match or it's a return champions match kind of thing. So that'll be a lot of fun. Keep your eyes and ears open for that. The Apple TV deal is significant in the sense that every season ticket member will get a subscription. Every season ticket member account. Sorry, I know I see our salespeople like, don't, but it's every season ticket member account will get a subscription included in our season ticket member package. We're picking up the cost of that, all right? But this is really, usually when Garth and I speak, we do this kind of like ham and egg thing before some matches, and usually all the questions are to Garth. Like, he speaks, I speak, he gets 80% of the questions, I get 20%. The week we announced the Apple TV deal, it was reverse. I got 80% of the questions, he got 20% of the questions. And what it really illustrated to me was I didn't realize how hard it was to watch us before. And my wife always complains, are you on Prime, ESPN, Fox? Where are you guys? I don't know where to find you. And I didn't realize that was such a big issue. And this Apple thing solves a lot of stuff for us. We're going to play on Wednesdays, we're playing on Saturdays, right? We're going to be on Apple. And you can watch us from anywhere in the world. There's no blackout restrictions and all those kind of things. The other thing too is, and I'm going to announce that we're going to be, I hope that if you don't have a subscription that you get one and you'll be able to buy it through us. More to come, more details to come on that, but we'll be able to provide those non-season ticket members, or if you want to buy additional ones, that ability. But it's really going to be amazing. Apple is so much fun to work with. I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest companies in the world, and we can see why they are. The Leagues Cup is probably one of the most exciting things, I think, that we could be doing. All the best Mexican teams, all the best US MLS teams, all in one tournament, and these are meaningful matches. This is not just us dreaming up another way to generate revenue. I know this is a business guy saying that, right? But the truth is, these are 3 spots in Champions League up for grabs. There's very few ways you can get into Champions League, and we all know now what Champions League means, right? So these are 3 spots up for grabs. Every team is going to be trying harder than heck to win it, because that's one way to get in. And not only there's a nice monetary prize, but the reality is that Champions League prize is bigger than anything we could think about. And so just sort of, I'm going to turn it back over to Cameron, but what I do want to say is we're really excited about next year on the pitch as a comeback kind of year. We just didn't feel right the way it ended. We appreciated so much the support that you guys gave us. That final match, the Fan Appreciation Day, the show rate, the people that came, we were like, no one's going to come. Well, you know what? We were wrong. It was a great day, and we really appreciated it. It showed a lot about how you guys feel about us as a club, and everything that we do is we feel about you guys as a community. The number of people that have come out tonight, just incredible. I hope you enjoy the tours that we have set up for you. And really, we couldn't thank you enough for being part of our family. I do want to encourage you guys all to consider being part of the Alliance Council. You get access to people like myself, to Garth, to Adrian, and you guys, you're here because you care. And if you have ideas on how we can be better, we're listening. We don't own the market on ideas. We get our best ideas from other people, and we're never ashamed to copy things. We'll try to do better, but we're never ashamed. So, in conclusion to that, I'm going to turn it over to Cameron. But thank you very much for listening to my babble, and really appreciate all of you.